jewelry is an important purchase for people. And you have to remember that. It's not just about the product. It's about so much more. We're creating moments in their lives that they will never forget.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast, episode 137. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews, the Chief Visionary Officer over at Flourish Thrive Academy. And here I am recording this amazing podcast for you. I am so excited today because we literally just wound down our Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp as I'm recording this. We just closed enrollment for our signature program, Laying the Foundation, and it's a bittersweet moment for me. And I wanted to really capture the moment for a couple of reasons. That's why I sat down here on this last day as we're winding down, because we've hosted Laying the Foundation for the last 5.5 years. For the last 5 years, we've opened enrollment in January every single year. And we've got started late January, early February, depending on where the calendar sort of lands. And it's bittersweet for a couple of reasons. This is the last time that my co-founder, Robin Kramer, and I are going to be doing the live component to this class. It's an interesting decision that we decided to make based on sort of where we are going individually in business, and also based on some things that are going on in our personal life and how we wanted to kind of set up things to move forward. And this sort of brings me to today's topic for the podcast. And today I thought it would be fun to sort of recap some of the things that we talked about and that we discovered that the designers sort of came through with our Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. So today I have 21 lessons learned from the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp, and I hope you're going to enjoy this. But it just goes to show you, as when I started out in business, maybe I should say, many, many years ago, back in the 90s, I had a very specific vision for my business and a very specific way I wanted to do business. And it looked a certain way. What happened is over a period of time, I got really unhappy. My business started floundering. I was really having difficulty continuing to keep up the pace of my growth. I had not set my business up like a business because I was really focused on moving forward and not doing some of the important things that you need to do to continue to grow a business. And what ended up happening is that I completely lost my passion for jewelry design. I lost my passion for my business, and ultimately that business failed. Now, you've been hearing my stories for months now on our Facebook live shows and on our Facebook page, and I'm not going to recap that here. But this is where today kind of comes in, because over time, as we grow in business, as we evolve as human beings, as we become better entrepreneurs, better business owners, better people who are self-employed and taking control of their destiny, we have to make decisions. And sometimes that requires us to change or to pivot or to decide to do something different. And that is always something that is just so amazing when I run boot camps like this, because you get to see people come up with these crazy aha moments. And this boot camp, I honestly can't believe it. It was the most engaged boot camp that we've ever had. We had 8,000 people enroll in the boot camp, and we had almost 5,000 people enrolled in the Facebook group, which is a really high percentage to get people actually from joining a boot camp to actually into the live community. It was pretty intense and pretty incredible. Like, I'm just blown away. And geez, I don't even know what to say. But beyond that, I kind of wanted to bring some of the takeaways so that if you weren't able to participate, or if you were part of boot camp and now, you didn't join us for Laying the Foundation, or even if you joined us for Laying the Foundation, that you could kind of reminisce or learn something new and sort of bring those things back into your business realm so that you can kind of hold them close and keep moving forward with these concepts, because it's super fun. So today I have 21 lessons learned from the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp, which was originally 17 lessons learned. But as I was sort of mapping out the lessons, I realized, wow, there's more. And I figured 21 was a good number because my birthday is on May 21st, and I've always loved the number 21. So there we go, totally random. Anyway, so let's get started. I want to dive in, since there's 21 little lessons and takeaways from our bootcamp. We got a lot to cover. So let's do this. All right. Takeaway lesson number one was really, I heard the designers over and over having these crazy aha moments with brand clarity, because part of the 3 pillars that we teach in the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp, which is really the foundation of our desired sharing proposition blueprint format that we teach in Laying the Foundation, is all about the who, what, and why of your business. Now, you've heard us probably saying this before, but if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one, and when you try to design for everyone, you really are going to have a difficult time forever reaching those dream clients, those people who really get it, because what ends up happening is that your brand starts to sound vanilla and people can't connect, because what people are really craving, especially in an environment where there are so many options, right? There's so much jewelry out there now. Etsy has really kind of made it possible for basically anyone to become a jewelry designer. Let's face it, that's the truth. So you need to really clarify what you stand for as a brand. And those that can do it really well, that can really clearly identify who their dream clients are, who they're actually designing for, they can really clearly define what they design from a design perspective, but like even further than that, what they actually do. And those who can get super crystal clear on their why. Like, why does this matter? Why do you want to design? Light bulb moment, super amazing. And that brings us to sort of the 3 parts of the pillars, which are actually 2, 3, and 4 of the lessons learned, which are the who, what, and why. These are the 3 pillars, actually. Like, who is your dream client? What are you designing and creating? And how are you sort of getting that cohesive collection together? And why are you doing this? And how does that influence your creative voice? And how does that resonate with your dream client? Because all these 3 pillars are super connected for multiple reasons, but you can't really take them, you can't have a really strong why without knowing who your dream clients are, or without connecting to your dream clients. And your dream clients really want to dive into that why. And these both tie into what you're actually designing from a collection standpoint. So it's important. The clearer you can get on your core values and what you stand for as a brand, the more you can clarify your brand story. Like, seriously, you are like 90% of the way there. You've done the hard work, and this is really important. As you start to dive deep into this, you need to continue to dive deep every single year, because as your brand evolves, as you change as a designer, things are going to change, and your dream client might pivot a little bit, or they might age, or they might have different likes. It's like things don't stay the same all the time. The only constant in life is change, and these concepts are always going to be evolving for your brand. So I love that. And then this ties into our lesson number 5, or our takeaway number 5, is that your business and your brand are an extension of yourself. And self-reflection and mindfulness is really, really important to showing up for yourself and your brand. So we heard designers making statements like, my biggest aha moment was realizing that my brand, my business is more than a business. It's really just an extension of who I am. And realizing this, I've already started to share more of my story and why I started my business in the first place, which is super important, because that allows people to connect on everything that you do, from a social media standpoint, from an email standpoint, from a blogging standpoint, from a communication standpoint, when you're just actually talking to people. It is so helpful. So all these things tie together. And I know that might sound a little bit kind of batched together, but let's recap these first 5. Brand clarity, like having a better idea of what you stand for from a branding, having more direction from the brand perspective, because having clarity in your vision is really power, as Susan said, which I love that quote. So I actually pulled it from here. And the brand clarity really comes from the next 3, number 2, 3, and 4, the who, the what, and the why you're actually doing business. And these sort of feed into that next step, which is your business is really more than just a business. It's really an extension of yourself. And that requires self-reflection and mindfulness to get there. So this one's my favorite. As part of bootcamp, it's actually not my favorite, because I have 5 favorites. So it's one of my 5 favorites. The 3 pillars and all that stuff is so amazing. And it's the most important thing to do. But one of the things that got me through my business failure, and sort of through all this fear that I had starting over again, was being really strong with my intention and really facing my fears through affirmation, through mindfulness practice, through meditation. And that facing the fears piece was the one thing that sort of pushed me through and allowed me to believe that what I wanted was possible. And once I started taking my action steps towards what I wanted, everything started to happen. And so I did a challenge in the group, and the challenge was to do one thing that scares you. And when my sister and I were working together at Tracy Design, she was my operations manager, and she had something on her computer. It said, do one thing that scares you every single day. And I would consider myself like sort of a more of a risky type person. Like, I'm willing to put myself out there. I'm willing to fail more, even though at times in my life I've stepped back and have been a little bit more timid about that. She's definitely someone who has a tendency to be a little bit more risk averse. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. She's more of an analytical person. She's super smart. She's very detail oriented, much more organized than I am. And quite frankly, like, we're good, like really opposite, like opposites attract. So for her, like stepping out and taking risks was like always something that she was pushing herself to do. And we had designers doing this, and we saw some of the most amazing things that sort of came on the other side. I remember Suki saying something along the lines of, I put myself out there, and someone reached out to me and ended up placing a $1,400 wholesale order because of there was like some connection with philanthropy. And this ties into all the other things that we've been talking about earlier in this podcast. But it also allows, it's also like a really great reminder that if we don't take risks, if we don't ask for the sale, if we don't put ourselves out there, we're never going to make the sale. And she made $1,400 just with one thing that she learned in bootcamp, which is super awesome. So I really, really love this. Do one thing that scares you every single day. And Ellen is saying that this is going to be her new mantra. And she started making a list of retail stores to really check out and put herself out there. So she's going for it and getting to that next step, which is super awesome. So number 7, we had a really interesting conversation about to Etsy or not to Etsy, and the power of a website versus a third party site like Etsy or Amazon Handmade. So Etsy and Amazon and all those other third party sites are great platforms. People make a ton of money off of them. So I'm not suggesting that you pull yourself away and that you stop doing it. But here's the thing. It really depends on what you want, because if you want to build a brand and you want to have control over your future, you need to have a branded website, and you need to have it on a website platform that is going to grow with you. We always recommend Shopify here at Flourish and Thrive Academy. In fact, little sidebar, I'm so passionate about Shopify that I worked with the people at Shopify to negotiate a free trial for Flourish and Thrive listeners and for Thrive by Design listeners. You can check it out and get your free trial and 10% off your ongoing monthly fees over at flourishthriveacademy.com/Shopify. So if you don't have a website yet, you can get a free template, get it set up, get it going, and get started with Shopify right away, using it for free for several weeks. So it's an awesome way to do it. But if you really want to build a brand, you can't just put yourself out there on Etsy. You can hack the system and put yourself out there on Amazon Handmade and just have a business that's making money. But if you want to build a brand, that's a different thing. And if you want to take control of your destiny, it's really important to have a website and to build your website on a platform like Shopify that is actually going to grow with you over the long term, because we're trying to build a business that's sustainable, that we can continue to grow, that we have control over, that we can email our clients. All these other platforms, you can't collect email addresses. You can't reach out to them later if you want to ask them for another sale, unless you're strategic about it. Like it's like a one and done situation. So you want to make sure that you're moving those people through the sale process and keeping them as customers for life. So lesson learned number 8 is really about taking simple steps and taking daily action. So whenever we do a boot camp like this, or whenever people start one of our courses, I'm always super it's like warning, in all caps with red flashing lights. Be careful, take a slow step. Take it one step at a time. Don't drink from the fire hose. And there's a reason for this, because When we take on too much all at once, we become overwhelmed. And then we have a hard time sorting through what we're learning or taking action because we feel stressed out. And so what we really want to encourage you to do is to stop drinking from the fire hose, break it down, do one thing at a time, break down your days into simple 3 priorities a day, make sure that you get those priorities done and that you're just taking simple steps to move forward in your business. That's the way to do it. That's what we suggest. So do it and go for it. Simple steps and daily action are the key to success. No drinking from the fire hose. Thank you. Hello. Let's do this. All right. The next biggest lesson learned was that people really dove into their desired sharing proposition, or the foundation of that, which is creating desire, sharing desire, and the desire journey. This is the foundation of what we've built, laying the foundation on. I used foundation 3 times in that sentence, but that's all right. You guys get the gist. This is all about hooking your customers, getting them excited about your brand, sharing desire, getting to a place where you have raving fans and advocates actually sharing your work, when you have influencers wanting to cover what you do and sharing what you do, and making it super easy to make sales. We had so many designers in bootcamp say that they love the concept of sharing designer. She's like, we're not pushy salespeople. They really want to get out there in a non-cheesy, non-car salesman-y way. And, I think the idea of thinking through the lens of having this through the sharing economy, which is sort of what we teach here, is that sales come from a place of service. So I'm having a hard time getting this out. The sales come from a place of service as opposed to being pushy or salesy or trying to force your product on someone. Really, you're just helping people out. It's not like people love jewelry. They want to adorn themselves. We're helping them feel confident and sexy and flirty, and we're creating moments in their lives that they will never forget. And jewelry is an important purchase for people, and you have to remember that it's not just about the product; it's about so much more. So it's fun to kind of watch people sort of get to that aha about the sharing economy, because what ends up happening is you start hooking people onto your brand journey or your desire journey, which helps keep them customers for life. We've used the analogy of a musician many times. You might have a favorite musician. One of my favorite bands when I was growing up was Duran Duran. I was obsessed. I had a poster of all the Duran Duran people, all the band members on my wall. I was obsessed with Nick Rhodes, even though he wore makeup. I don't know why, but I think it was because me and my friends, we all picked a guy, and Nick was, I love Nick. He was awesome, played the keyboards, and he looked so cool that, it was fun. We all picked a guy. So, one person had John Taylor, someone had Simon Le Bon, whatever. But as that band grew and I got hooked on the band brand, I'll say, I became a fan for life. So as they evolved as a brand, it was awesome. And today, to this time, I still sing Duran Duran songs at karaoke. I love it. It's so fun. And they're just they're awesome. And same thing goes for Adele and Lady Gaga for me. Love them. And I will be their fans for life. So I'm sure you can think of the same thing. And even though their music changes over the years, you still love them because you're hooked on their desire journey. So remember that. The next key takeaway number 10, and the lesson really is that if you can create confidence within yourself, getting control of your brand creates intense and insane confidence. And so many of the designers came out the other side feeling super confident about what they're doing. And Heidi even said there have been so many takeaways that it's been hard to choose. But the biggest was a combination of taking the homework and the challenges and feeling this real sense of community had restored her confidence and made her realize that she needed to stop second guessing herself and that she is more on track with her business, moving it forward, than she actually realized that she was, which is huge. So when you actually take control of your business and you focus on these things, your confidence starts to soar because you have clarity and vision and you know where you're going, which is so, so important. So another key takeaway, which I think was really awesome and a lesson learned, is that at the beginning of bootcamp, we asked people if they wanted to pick an accountability partner. And so many, we had these threads from all different places from around the world in the group, regions and, time zones, etc. And designers were connecting and they all made new friends and they had they picked accountability partners that they're like super stoked on. They're like obsessed with each other because they are just thrilled to have made a new friend who understands their trouble and who can keep them on track for the next step. So a huge lesson for all of you out there is that accountability is key. So if you can find someone to partner up with or buddy up with that you guys can stay on track. I have accountability partners that I work with, my friends Dana and Margaret, who I met in my mastermind, and they're just awesome women. We, every morning when we would be at our mastermind, we'd go for these long walks, and we'd spend time together. We've become really good friends. And now they keep me on track for my goals every single month, which is awesome. And you can do the same too. So the next big lesson and takeaway is number 12 is that you can't please everyone. So, I learned this as a business owner all the time. Bootcamp was awesome, but there are people who did some crazy things and, they became haters of us at the same time. But it reminds me, of all the people who actually do love us. And the people who do love us are way more than the people who don't like us. And it's just a reminder that we all are going to have not only haters in life and business, but also people who don't really connect with our brand. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. What we do want to remember is to focus on the people who do love you and who do want to buy more from you, who love everything that you put out and want to continue on with your brand. So remember that you can't please everyone, and you're going to have people that cross your path who cause you problems, who, are difficult customers, are pitas, as we like to say. Those people who, they're like the squeaky wheels. They're like the 5 or less % that take up the most of your energy. So I want you to sort of take your energy back, take your power back, focus on the people that you can please, because those are the most important. And it's important to think, even from a design perspective, when you're doing this, that you can't please everyone, because you can't design for everyone either. Like, no one is capable of that. Like, those types of brands, it's like I feel like the types of brands that design for everyone are those fast fashion brands that are just trying to like be on the hottest trend and do everything for everyone. And it just, in most cases, doesn't work. Lesson number 13, always be marketing and keep things fresh on social and beyond. So this is really important. As you sort of identify your DSP and you start getting really clear on your 3 pillars, it's very important to continue to position yourself and continue to put yourself out there and your brand out there on an ongoing basis. And this requires you to have fresh content on your website, on your blog, fresh content on your Instagram, fresh content on your Facebook. And I hope that we inspired different ways for you to do that. Fresh content on your Pinterest, whatever you're using. Pinterest isn't really social media, but you get it. And just inspiring new ideas. Outside the box thinking is rewarded in this new stage of e-commerce. Like, think of different ways that you can connect with your audience. You might not get it right every single time, but the important thing is that you're continuing to keep it fresh and keep it out there. The next lesson, I should say, lesson number 14, is to remember, when you've lost your mojo, when you've lost your vibe, when you've lost your creativity, when you feel like you can't move forward anymore, it is really important to take a step back and remember why you're doing this. And so Annette said, that she was part of she was stuck in Hurricane Maria. She's from Puerto Rico, and she lost a lot of her studio and everything, and she just was really down. And being a part of this amazing community and feeling that connection with the other designers really allowed her to get her mojo back and her creative vibe back, because life happens, guys. Things are going to happen where we're not like totally in sync, and we need to sometimes take a step back and take care of ourselves and reconnect with our creativity, reconnect to get our vibe high again, reconnect to move things forward so that we can think things are possible. So we're always going to have setbacks. It's how you deal with those setbacks that really help you move forward. 15. Let's dive into number 15. This is all about planning, creating a plan, especially when you're lost, but having a plan to move forward with is important. So here at Flourish and Thrive, we always are talking about setting goals for your business, creating roadmaps. That's why we've created the desired sharing proposition. So you have a roadmap to actually follow. And your plan is really the most important part of your success. And here's the reason why. You got to work the plan. You hear this all the time. Work the program, work the plan. Like, the more you work it, the more you take those daily action steps, the more success you'll have. But if you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going, you don't know how you're going to get there, probably not going to get a lot done. So having that plan and taking action on that plan is super, super duper key. So Julie says, I could go on and on about how many amazing things happened in this boot camp, and she's got a lot to work on, she says, but at least she has a plan and she's ready to move forward. So lesson number 16 comes from a lot of the people in the Flourish and Thrive community who have invested in themselves, invested in their business, including myself, including Jessica Bauer, who's our community manager over here at Flourish and Thrive, including all of our LTF coaches and so many more. If you watched any of the case studies, like from Anna Maria or Anita Schultz and Lisa Stice, I just interviewed all those people recently, Jules Vance, like all these people were afraid, to make the investment. Today I was talking to Lisa and she said something to me along the lines of like, I was really skeptical. I'll make up that word. I like doing that. About making an investment. I'm not a spender. I feel like we should be saving money and stuff like that. And I was concerned. I'm like, well, at least they have a money back guarantee and I can get my money back if it's not right for me. But she's like, it's the best investment I ever made. And her business has been doubling every single year. It's incredible. And so I want to remind you that the more that you can invest in the right things, the more your business is going to grow. And here's an example. A lot of people think that paying for PR placements or paying to be on an influencer's Instagram feed is a good idea. But unless it's proven, a lot of times those results fall flat. And paying for PR, paying for exposure, for most people is not the answer until you get to a certain level. And what ends up happening is you invest all that money, all that cash flow into getting exposure on a platform like that, and a pay-to-play platform. And you end up just losing your money because they aren't necessarily, those influencers aren't always, unless it's the right ones, aren't always interested in moving your business forward. They just want the money to feature you. And so thinking strategically about how you're partnering with people, make it a win-win for both. Do affiliate partnerships instead of pay to play. Think outside the box. Be a creative thinker. Position your brand in a way that is desirable to people who can give you exposure, and invest in the right things. That's the most important. This is another one of my favorites. Lesson number 17. Don't compare yourself to other people. You are unique and there is no one newer than you. There are no two businesses alike. There are no cookie cutter businesses. There's no such thing as that sort of thing. And we all measure success differently. And so I want to remind you that as you move forward and grow in business, to measure your version of success based on your metrics. I can talk day in, day out about helping designers get to six-figure businesses. But if that is not important to you, then, create another metric for success for you. For some people, it's really about lifestyle. For some people, it's about time. For some people, it's about exposure. For some people, it's about having freedom to do the things that they love. For some people, it's being able to spend more time in their creative genius zone. So remember, don't compare your success to other people. Everyone is moving at their own pace. Work along your own pace. Stay the course. Lesson number 18 is that it's really important, especially when you're lost, to find the support of mentors and peers sooner than later. Get help sooner than later. This is really important. A lot of times, from my own personal story, I waited for years to get any help in business. And here's the thing, my business suffered because of it. And it wasn't until I was desperate. And I use the word desperate because I was desperate. I had $2 in my bank account and I was going to a trade show and I couldn't even pull out $20 to pay for the cab. I didn't know what I was going to do, literally. And I somehow figured it out. I found the money to hire consultants, my consultant Phil, and I spent $1,500 a month for a year and a half for them to help me find the clarity that I needed. And it was the biggest game changer for me. And although the fate of that business, when I hired them, I ended up just making the decision to close the business. They were the ones who helped me get there. And they're also the ones who helped plant the seed for this new venture in my life. And if it wasn't for them, I would not be here today. I'd probably still be miserable with $2 in my bank account, which is not something I'm interested in ever doing again. Lesson number 19 is to play full out in life and in business. Calculated risks are good. When you play full out, when you play out loud, when you do everything that you can, when you show up with that 10x energy, as Grant Cardone says, you are setting yourself up for success. It's like go big or go home. Halfway doesn't cut it. So I want to really encourage you as you're moving forward in your business journey, whether you continue following Flourish and Thrive or not. Hopefully you do. We want to keep you here for the long term. But, whenever you're finding your mentors in business, just remember that, success doesn't happen in a vacuum, and success doesn't happen by squeaking by like a little mouse. It happens by playing full out and showing the world who you are in your way. It doesn't have to be in an obnoxious, annoying, extroverted way. If you're an introvert, you can still play full out. It just might look a little differently than someone else. So remember that, and go big or go home, play full out, and do something that scares you every day. Those are some of my favorite lessons. And lesson number 20, we're winding down. We're almost to lesson number 21. Lesson number 20 is be committed. Committed people, if you are committed to your success, if you're committed to doing whatever it takes to get to that next level, whatever it is that you desire or dream, your dreams will happen. This is why in our Diamond Insiders community and in Bootcamp, every single day I would show up and say, what are you committed to? What are you willing to do to move forward? What is your big goal? What is your vision? How does your vision matter? How does that align with your core values? How committed are you? So in our Diamond Insiders, we have an exercise every single Monday. We do 3 commitments a week, 3 priorities a day. And those commitments are the things that move the designers forward and help them reach their dreams. And this is so important in helping you really get the success that you want. And so I encourage you to stay committed to your passion, stay committed to your dreams, because this is where the good stuff happens. And I'm so excited for you. So be committed, people. Commit to yourself, commit to your dreams, commit to your business, and take action. And then lesson number 21 is that I just want to welcome you home, because community is everything. Our motto over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy is community and collaboration over competition. And I really believe that nobody should try to do this alone. Success does not happen in a vacuum. It happens with the support of your tribe. And that's what we love over here with the support of #ThriveTribe. We are here to support you because we want to help you get to your next level in life, in business, whatever that looks like to you. And community is everything. And that's what we've really created here at Flourish and Thrive. We have our Diamond Insiders community. We have our SOS coaching program, and we're really rocking it out. We're in week 3 over at Laying the Foundation right now. And it's off the hook. The transformation that the designers are seeing are crazy because of the support of their peers, the support of the coaches over here, the LTF coaches at Flourish and Thrive, and hopefully the support of Robin and myself as well. But this is what it's all about. This is all what I was praying for so many years when I felt so lost and alone through the years that I had been in business, just trying to figure it out alone. Success doesn't happen in a vacuum. So we hope that we can continue to support you on an ongoing basis. So that was a lot. I hope that you enjoyed lessons from Bootcamp. I would love to know your biggest takeaways. So if you're here over on episode 137 over at our Flourish and Thrive podcast, I would love for you to just give me your biggest takeaway if it wasn't something that I mentioned. And if it was something I mentioned, I would love for you to highlight that. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you'd like to learn more about any of the things I mentioned on this podcast, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/episode 137. If you want to learn more about laying the foundation and get on our home study program, you can join the waitlist. We'll have a link over at the show notes. And if you want to jump in on our free trial for Shopify, make sure that you grab that. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/Shopify and get your free trial and 10% off your Shopify fees ongoing. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I am so stoked to support you. Thank you, Thrive Tribe, for being here. Take care until next time.